Whenever you're ready.
Okay. Hi, folks. Welcome to our presentation today, hosted by AlmonTravel, CARP, Nova Scotia, and tonight, gAdventures. A little bit about us at AlmonTravel. We've been in business for almost 20 years. Started 2 years before I retired from teaching at high school, and have been in constant business since that time, with a little bit of a, let's say, a delay during the COVID period. Our particular specialties are river cruises. We've done 10 different itineraries around the world, including 3 in Asia, Vietnam, 2 itineraries, the Mekong with Cambodia, that's the temples of Angkor Wat, as well as the Red River in the north. We've done cruise tours on the Yangtze in China, the Nile in Egypt, as well as the Rhine and the Danube in the Rhone in southern France. We've also done the Po River in Italy, that's Venice, Portugal's Douro River in Europe, the Mississippi on an old-fashioned paddle wheel in the United States, which was quite an experience. Destination weddings, we've done 130 destination weddings from across Canada down in the Caribbean area. And where that becomes particularly applicable to this demographic is if you have any anniversaries or retirements or special occasions, or a special anniversary coming up with family and friends, we can certainly help you, as we have a lot of experience in putting groups together. Caribbean area vacations, adult or family vacations, specialties too, and that kind of comes out of our destination weddings, because it's very important for us to get down to the Caribbean area and visit the various resorts down there to see how suitable they are for destination weddings, but at the same time, how suitable for adult only or family vacations as well. So again, lots of experience with that. Extended family Florida trips. We focus on theme park vacations like Universal Studios, Disney, SeaWorld, and Busch Gardens. We've been to all of these massive parks several times, and it's very useful to have a travel agent to be able to help you maneuver your way around these giant parks. Ocean cruises, the most popular itineraries. We've been to Hawaii, the Mediterranean, the 3 Caribbean itineraries, the UK, New Zealand, and Australia, and also on most people's bucket lists, a cruise in Alaska. And folks, as I have often said, glaciers are melting at a rapid rate, and it ought to be a trip that you plan pretty soon. Coach tours, from local tours like a tour of Newfoundland and Labrador to coach tours around the world. We have relationships with a variety of touring companies to find the best option for you. Travel conditions, well, they're getting better and better, certainly from 6 to 8 months ago, no question there. But COVID is hanging on, and we're also experiencing other respiratory viruses, protecting ourselves for 2.5 years and not exposing ourselves to all of the usual stuff that's out there has made us, I think, a little bit susceptible to all of that stuff nowadays. So we're experiencing that as well. In the travel industry, still having some concerns about staffing problems, which is creating some problems with airlines, but by and large, people who want to travel are doing so successfully. So I think certainly it's a good idea to start doing some planning for travel now. There are some good insurance policies out there, some with cancel for any reason. COVID is still considered to be an existing condition, and you can't get insurance that covers COVID, but it comes very close. So certainly check with your travel agent to find out how good that coverage is. We have a connection with CARP Nova Scotia through Bill Van Gorder, who is the COO and Chief Policy Officer for CARP National, as well as the founding chair for CARP Nova Scotia, in addition to being the senior spokesperson for CARP in the Maritimes. I met Bill in a charitable foundation that he and a friend of his established back about 4 or 5, 6 years ago, called 100 Men Who Give a Damn. And as a result of being on the board, we were successful in raising almost $400,000 that went directly to the charities in Halifax. Being on the board, I had an opportunity to get to know Bill quite well. And as a process of that, he booked a couple of trips, a river cruise in Europe and a cross-country train ride with a Rocky Mountaineer. And as a result of the service that he received, he asked if we'd be interested in becoming the official travel agency for CARP, Nova Scotia. And of course, we were very happy to accept. I'd like to introduce Hilary Arsenault, Global Purpose Specialist. That's an interesting description. Norm is Business Development Manager, but certainly this does the trick. For gAdventures in the Maritimes, who will be telling us all about what this touring operating company offers. So Hilary, if you could take over, please.
Thank you so much, Danny. And as Danny mentioned, my name is Hilary, and I am the GPS for Eastern Canada. I'm more than happy to talk about gAdventures. I've been on about 12 tours myself, so always good things to say and always something to say about it. All right, so we'll actually start it off with a quick video here.
Our world has seen a lot of change, and we remember many of the biggest changes. But the truth is, we don't have to go to the moon to change the world. You just have to go to Peru, or Sri Lanka, or maybe Namibia, Thailand, Tanzania, anywhere really, so long as you bring yourself. Bring your smile to Marissa, dance it out at Vic Falls, count your blessings in candy. Because our world deserves more of your perspective, your laughter, your generosity, your curiosity. Our world already has its Neil Armstrongs. Today, it deserves more Shireens, more Mashangas, more Peter Bartrams, more Matts from Wisconsin. So go wherever far is to you, because wherever you go, you open yourself up to change. And the more small changes we all make, the bigger our world becomes. Our world deserves more. Our world deserves more to you.
So that kind of gives you a little bit of an insight on gAdventures and kind of the feelings that you would have while going on a tour with us. So one of the main things is we do small group tours all around the world. So we actually have over 650 itineraries, and that travels to all 7 continents. Yes, I did say all 7 continents there. Now, when I say small groups, usually it is a maximum of 16 people for the majority of our tours. I know that we have some that is maximum 6 people as well, so it can be a little bit different, but for the majority of the time it is maximum 16, and there is no minimum, so we do offer guaranteed departures. We also have locally based guides, and just like my title, which is Global Purpose Specialist, they also have a special fun name, which is Chief Experience Officer, and for short we call them CEOs. Now, when the founder, Bruce Poontip, founded gAdventures, he decided he was not the most important person in the company, so he gave his title of CEO away to the people who he thought were, which is, of course, our magnificent local guides. And what's great about having a local guide in destination is they really have all the knowledge that you need. They're able to show you their country through their eyes. So great cultural local experience that you'll have on tour with us with our local guides. We also offer no single supplements that are mandatory. So a lot of our travelers are solo travelers. If you are a solo traveler yourself, you're more than welcome to come join us. What would happen is we would automatically pair you up with another solo traveler of the same gender for the rooming. And then otherwise, if you do specifically want your own room, then there are options that you're able to pay additional to get it. It's just not mandatory, which is great. We also offer lifetime deposits. So once you put a deposit down on a tour, if you decide later on you need to cancel it for whatever reason, that amount will go as a deposit credit to your name for future use. It can be used towards any gAdventures tour. It never expires. It's also transferable to somebody else if for some reason you're no longer able to go. So you don't lose it, you get to reuse it, which is great. We have book and travel with confidence policies. So just to make sure we are taking additional safety measures and working closely with our local offices to ensure safety on tour post-COVID. And then we also do have a book with confidence policy currently that you can change the date of your tour up until 45 days prior to departure without any penalties. Flexibility, freedom, fun. We do have our itineraries already set up. We already have activities included and transportation included, of course, as well as the accommodation. But we do have free time included on all itineraries. And that gives you a little bit of flexibility to make the tour your own. If you just want to sit back and relax during your free time, you can do that. If you want to jam pack it full of activities, you can do that too. And then, of course, the CEOs are really there to help you fill your free time. And then same goes for meals. We'll have some meals included and some meals not included to, again, give you that flexibility and freedom to go off on your own if you want, or stay with the group if you want. It's really up to you. gAdventures is also built to support local communities. That being said, we are a responsible travel company. So all services that we use are local services. So we really want the money spent in destination to stay in destination to support those local communities. Which brings me back to G for Good. So when Bruce founded the company, he really wanted travel to be a force for good. And he wanted to be that person to be able to offer that. So we even have a not-for-profit organization called Planetara, and Planetara has projects set up all around the world, and it's really aimed or focused at helping women, Indigenous, and youth in those countries. So really giving them experience opportunities, employment opportunities, being able to support themselves. So again, with everything being local, there is a sustainability aspect. Again, you are supporting the people, the places that you are visiting as well. We also have some great policies for animal welfare, child welfare online as well. So again, making sure we are using travel for a force for good. Now, we have 11 different travel styles, so there is definitely something for everyone depending on what you are looking for. I will just talk to 2 of them today, but there are a lot more that I'm sure Danny will be able to help you with if you're looking for something a little bit different. So the first one here is our classic tours. Now, this one I would say is the majority of our itineraries are classic tours. This is good for all ages and most fitness levels. So again, it's good to read through the itinerary to see what you are expecting. And then this is a standard style accommodations and service level. Another one that we have is we have a collaboration with National Geographic. So gAdventures is actually the ones that run the National Geographic journeys. And what that means for us is it is our more upgraded style of travel. So you'll have slightly more inclusions. So you would be staying at slightly higher service level hotels. You'll have more meals included, you'll have more activities included. You also have special activities that are specific to the National Geographic journeys. You wouldn't be able to get that on our other tours. So just to kind of give a little difference between the 2 different travel styles that I'm going to dive into a little bit further shortly. Now, the first tour, we're going to talk about 3 of them today. And the first one here is the Best of Iceland, which is 7 days Reykjavik to Reykjavik. If you've not been to Iceland, add that to your bucket list. It truly is the land of fire and ice, as you'll hear a lot of people call it. And the reason being is there's volcanoes, there's ice, there's geysers, there's waterfalls, there's black sand beaches that are absolutely stunning. And depending on what time of year you're going, you might even be able to see the northern lights. So northern lights are usually visible in Iceland from October or late October into early March. So you definitely have the opportunity of seeing the northern lights if you go during the winter months. Otherwise, summer is an absolutely lovely time to go as well. You just won't be able to see the northern lights in the summer itineraries. Now, the one that we are looking at here, as I mentioned, it is Best of Iceland. And what's great about this is it really takes you all around the island. So it doesn't just stick to the south. We do have itineraries that do just do the south part of it, but this one is nice because you do really get to see all the different landscapes that are available. So this one right now, the regular price is starting from $33.99 per person. And I will talk later on about some sales that we have currently. Now, when we look at what's included for this one, so we do have 5 nights in standard hotels, and we also have 1 night in a local guest house. So you'll really be able to see how the locals there live. You'll be able to learn different things from them, what kind of meals they have a home-cooked meal with them to really pick their brains on what Icelandic life is like. And then, as I mentioned, lots of waterfalls there, lots of glacier lagoons, black sand beaches, geysers, again, northern lights if you go go during the winter months. So definitely lots to see and do in Iceland. I'm going to highlight just a few days. I'm not going to go through the entire itinerary, but it can be found online, or again, you can reach out to Danny and he'll be able to certainly help you with that. So on day 2, this one is a fun day. So you do drive to, and I don't know how to pronounce all the Icelandic city names. I've tried when I was there and it's no easy feat, but you do drive to Akureyri, and then you get to stop at a local cantina for lunch before having some free time once you arrive there. Now, once you arrive there, there is a lot of stuff that you can do, like doing a whale watching cruise. So that's definitely an option to do in the afternoon once you arrive. It is a very popular thing to do while you are there. Otherwise, you can always walk along the shore and hope to see some for yourself. But the whale watching cruise is a great way to get up close and personal with that. On day 3, this one's going to be a really full day, really busy day. So you are traveling to Bakkagerði. However, on the way, you do have multiple stops. So you're going to see the Godafoss waterfall, which is a very popular one in Iceland. And then you head over to Mývatn Lake. And that's where you'll really be able to see the lava formations. You'll get to see the geothermal area, and then you get to see another waterfall because there's lots to see there. But trust me, they're all different. They're all very beautiful ones to see. So it's not one of those that you'd get tired of seeing waterfalls at the end. They really are spectacular and different in every single one that you are going to see. And then that is the night that you will be spending at the guest house while you are there. So just some pictures of the waterfalls that you'll encounter and the beautiful scenery and views. And then on day 5, you are going to travel from Hötn to Vik. Now, Vik is the black sand beach that I was telling you about. Absolutely a gorgeous place to be. And then, of course, you get to go see the Glacier Lagoon, and then you get to go to Skaftafell National Park on the way. So just to kind of give you ideas, and also when you are there, there actually is an optional activity to do a glacier hike. So climbing on or walking atop a glacier. So definitely an optional activity that is not to be missed if you are interested in that. And you get to see some fun little guys if you're lucky, just sunbathing in the sun. So definitely lots of options there. Now, in Vik, there's the Reynisfara beach, which again, that is the black sand beach with the very interesting stone formation on, I guess they're not called walls, but on the walls there. And then you'll go to the Golden Circle. Now, the Golden Circle, again, if you're going in the wintertime, is a great place to see the Northern Lights. Iceland is fantastic because there's not a lot of light pollution there. So if you are going during the winter, then you have the chance to see the Northern Lights almost every night as soon as you step out of your hotel and look up in the skies. And then you'll be able to see some more famous waterfalls. So the Gullfoss, that one's easy to pronounce. And then the Seljalandsfoss. Hopefully I'm not butchering them too bad. And then of course you do get to see some geysers. And if you've not seen geysers before, they are so interesting to watch and experience. And no pictures do it justice. And even videos give you a better insight on it, but it still doesn't do it justice. It's really something that you need to experience when you are there. So this is Reynisfara Beach. So again, with the interesting rock formations on the side of the mountain there and the beautiful black sand. And you can walk around. There's even little restaurants if you want to sit down and have a coffee and just look at this beautiful view. There's a nice pier that you can walk out on as well. And then just some more gorgeous waterfalls. Of course, if you are going in the summertime, you get all this lush greenery around. So definitely brightens up a picture. And there's that famous Gullfoss waterfall there. Now, all in the same area. That's again where you'll be able to see different geysers as well. And there's a picture of the geyser, again, still not doing it any justice, but very interesting. You'll also see that Iceland is absolutely full of hot springs. And on this, you'll actually be able to have opportunities to go in some smaller hot springs. Now, I know everyone's heard of the Blue Lagoon. Blue Lagoon is not included in our itineraries. However, if you do have the chance, I would suggest going. And again, Danny can help you book that. But I would either do it on the way from the airport to the hotel, or on the way to the airport from the hotel, because the Blue Lagoon's kind of in the middle of both, and there are transfers that often do that routing where they drop you off one place and then they'll pick you up later to bring you to the airport and or the hotel, depending which direction you're doing. And then if me talking about Iceland didn't spark your interest enough, I do have a little video to give you some more inspiration on it.
There are things in this country you will not see anywhere else on this world. That's what we want as travelers. They don't call it the land of fire and ice for no reason.
I really want us out of this world. I think I've discovered a different side of me that I didn't think that I had. I wouldn't hesitate to do things that I've never thought that I could ever do before, because now I know that I can.
The culture here is something you can't read in a book, but it's something you have to experience.
And then this one, the Best of Iceland, is one of our classic itineraries. So again, good for all ages, most fitness levels, and it has the standard level of service. Moving on, we're going to look at Discover the Balkans. Now, what makes Discover the Balkans a little bit different is this one is one of our National Geographic journeys. So again, it's our partnership with National Geographic, our collaboration together. And the guides will still be local, but they will have specific National Geographic training. And then, of course, during some of the activities, you will have those specialists that come in to give you a little bit more information and a deeper dive into the culture and the history of the places that you are visiting. So that's also where it gets that National Geographic aspect from it. So this is the itinerary that we are looking at. It starts in Zagreb and it ends in Dubrovnik. One of my favorite highlights is that it goes to Plitvice or Plitvice Lakes National Park. If you haven't been to Croatia, you've definitely seen pictures of this, and it is absolutely gorgeous. It looks exactly like the pictures, if not better. So definitely this gorgeous blue-green water that I'll certainly show you later on. You do go to Split, and then it also does go into Bosnia and Herzegovina. So a lot of people don't think of necessarily going there, or usually kind of skip right past it, but it's definitely a great place to visit, and it's awesome that it gets to be added here. You'll also go into the Bay of Kotor in Montenegro, which was actually one of my favorite places when I did a similar tour a couple of years ago. It's just it's inside of a fortress, basically. It has giant walls all around it, but it is really a gorgeous place. And then you'll be going back into Croatia, into Dubrovnik, which again, if you are Game of Thrones fans, then that is where a lot of the filming was done. So you can even do some tours around there just to see some of the main highlighted points. Now, if we're looking at what's included with our National Geographics, it is mainly hotels that you will be using. So for this one, it is hotels for all nights. You also do have some meals included. So all your breakfast, 2 lunches, 1 dinner. And then, of course, you do still have that free time. Usually for the times where the meals are not included, the guide will still do a group lunch or dinner. And if you want to join them, you can. And if you'd prefer to go off on your own, you can as well. So you definitely, again, have that flexibility there. When I was talking about the specific activities that are done on the National Geographic journeys that you can't get on other ones, there's 2 of them listed right here. So your journey's highlight moment, there's the Siege of Sarajevo tour, and then you also have the agrotourism experience in Dubrovnik, where you'll go to a local agroturismo. G for good, so that ties into the Planetara. You'll be doing a Dessa Women's Center visit where you'll be able to have a lunch with the local ladies that are there. Day 2, again, Plitvice or Plitvice Lakes National Park. And then you are going to end it with a traditional Dalmatian meal. So it is Dalmatian coast. It is not Dalmatian the dog, but you will have a traditional meal called peka, and that is made underground. So very interesting. They'll be able to kind of show you all that as well. And here's the Plitvice Lakes National Park. So again, I have a picture very similar to this that I took myself. That is exactly what it looks like. I can confirm it's not photoshopped or augmented in any way. It really does look as beautiful as this. And you do get to take your time to really walk through on all the boardwalks, on all the little hikes that they have there. It's nothing too strenuous. I would say it's kind of like an easy walk in the park. But yes, a very gorgeous, gorgeous place. Lots of photo opportunities, and just to kind of sit back and forest bathe a little bit, just soak in all the nature that is around you. Another day that I'd like to highlight is the agritourism villa visit. Again, one of the National Geographic Journeys specific tours that we wouldn't get on one of our classics or any other of our travel styles. And then you'll be able to have a city walk in Dubrovnik to really get to know the place. And the next day, so day 11, is actually a free day in Dubrovnik. So it kind of gives you a little orientation, and it makes you note down what you want to see and do on your free day while you're there. And then you'll also visit the Odessa Women's Center. So just some beautiful pictures of Dubrovnik here. That's an aerial view, and you can even take a gondola to go up to the top of the mountain, where you'll actually get views such as this one. So you don't have to be in a helicopter to see from up above. Oh, there's the gondola there. But definitely very picturesque town, kind of has like a medieval feel to it. The people there are so nice too. And of course, the local meals, you can't beat it wherever you're going to have a local meal. That's really how you dive into the culture, in my opinion. And then that's Dubrovnik at night. So you can see all the small boats that are there. If you do want to do some kayaking on your free time there, that's an option as well. If you just want to walk around, you can do that too. If you want to do any additional city tours, you can always speak to your guide, your CEO about that, and they'll certainly be able to help you with that. And then in Dubrovnik, that is where, if you remember, that is where the tour is going to end. And the last tour we have that we are presenting is End of the Earth. I personally absolutely love this itinerary. It is a classic tour, but it is a little bit different from, say, the Iceland one we were talking about. Of course, it's a different country and all. But what I'm saying for that is this one actually includes 2 nights of camping. So yes, camping in a tent. All the camping equipment is provided for you. You don't have to bring your own or anything, but it is going to be 2 nights of camping, and the rest will be at hotels. So it is quite interesting. It's also Buenos Aires to Buenos Aires, which is nice. So when you are booking your international airfare, or whenever Danny's booking your international airfare, it's an easy point of return, right? And I know that they used to have a lot of direct flights from Canada as well, so it is easy to get to Buenos Aires. And then of course you can always spend some extra time there. So right now this one is starting at $52.99 per person. You'll see those internal flights are included. So on all of our itineraries, all the internal transportation is included, all the accommodation is included, and then of course the CEO, the local guides are included as well. So for this one, you'll take the included flight down to El Chalten. That is where you'll be able to do some hiking in the area, and I'll be able to show you some pictures to just really show you how beautiful the Patagonia region is if you haven't already seen it. But again, definitely one to add to that bucket list. And then of course you do go to El Calafate, to Torres del Paine National Park, where you'll be able to do the 3-day trekking and 2 nights of camping, which I'll talk a little bit about that. And then we also do have a set of active tours. So if the 3 days of hiking isn't enough for you, we can set you up on an active tour that definitely has more hiking. And then you'll end it in Ushuaia. If anyone is familiar with Ushuaia, it is the southernmost city on Earth, and that is actually the port to Antarctica. So for any Antarctica expeditions, they usually come out of Ushuaia. Now, if we're looking at what's included, we have 11 nights in a hotel, 2 nights in camping, as I mentioned. We have all your breakfasts, 2 lunches, and 2 dinners. You do have expert mountain guides while you are doing the Torres del Paine trek. And then, of course, beautiful, beautiful views that you'll see the entire time, and the CEO, of course, to be there with you. So on day 3, when you're in El Chalten, you'll enjoy a full day guided hike to Laguna de los Tres. And for a full day guided hike, it really is a full day. So it can be about 6 to 8 hours, depending on how fast or how slow you hike. But really important just to stop and soak in all the beautiful views that you'll be seeing along the way, such as this one. So very famous rock formations in this area as well. Again, beautiful views, lots of nature, and a lot of our tours, or most of our tours, it is all like-minded travelers that travel with us. So even if you are traveling on your own, or if you are traveling with a friend, you're sure to meet people in the group that you might end up being lifelong friends with, which is great. So beautiful views. Look at this gorgeous blue glacial water that's just at the bottom there. And then you can see that can be you if you book the tour, hiking through El Chalten for that full day hike. And again, very different scenery depending on what area you're in. Again, 6 to 8 hour of hike. So there's definitely lots to see in the area. Now, days 7 to 9, that's when you are going to be doing the Torres del Paine trek. So that is 3 days of hiking and 2 nights of camping. So the first 2 days of hiking, those again, long days, those can be between 8 and 10 hours for day 7 and day 8. And then on day 9, so the last day of the hike, that one's only about 4 hours. So we do let you off easy on that last day, on that last stretch. And again, you are camping, so gorgeous views, lots of fresh air, never really a dull moment. And here again, just some views that you can see on that Torres del Paine hike. So you see the rock formation in the back there, the 3 points. That is one of the most famous ones to see while you are there. And then of course you have this gorgeous glacial lake. And for example, these are the tents that we have for the camping. So again, all tents are included. You do not have to bring them yourself. The sleeping pads, the sleeping bags, all that is included. So really you just need your articles of clothing that you are going to bring with you. You don't have to bring your entire luggage with you on this. You can leave it back at the hotel and then only really bring with you what you need for the 3 days of hiking and the 2 nights of camping. Again, more gorgeous views. This one is from a viewpoint just off the side of the path.
Turn up the dial.
And if that video didn't give it away, we do have our cyber sale that is on right now. So it is running until December 8th, and it is 30% off over 175 of our itineraries. We also have 15% off over 200 of our itineraries. So that's going to be travel by April 30th. We also do have 30% off our Antarctica expeditions. So the season for Antarctica expeditions will end, or this season will end on March 2023. So if you do book from now until March of 2023 for one of those departures, you can get 30% off Antarctica, which is fantastic savings there. You don't see that too often. And then if you're looking at traveling a little bit later, so between May 1st and June 30th, we do have 10% off a whole bunch of our tours. So that is just some exciting cyber sale stuff that is going on again right now until December 8th of this year. And if you are ready to book anything, if you're interested in one of those 3 itineraries that I just spoke about, so the best of Iceland, discover the Balkans, and end of the earth, please reach out to Danny. He'll be more than happy to help answer your questions on that one. Or if you're looking at something a little bit different, you can still let Danny know and he'll be able to help you. Thank you, Danny.
Got to hit all the right buttons to get on here. Thanks very much, Hilary. That's wonderful. Your enthusiasm definitely shines through on the presentation. So I have a couple of comments or questions on your presentation. I think the idea of local guides, and you know, we'll face it, most companies do employ local guides. I think you were telling me though that a lot of times the local guides have been with you folks for a long time, so that definitely counts for something. Single supplement, no single supplement. Have a question on that. You obviously pair up. I'm wondering, what is how do you do that actually? You know, how can you ensure that your rooming partner is compatible with you? Is there any kind of a questionnaire, or how does that work?
Yeah, so we do just automatically pair them up with a traveler of the same gender. Typically, there's not any issues with this just because, again, a lot of our travelers are like-minded. But what's great about having the CEO that stays with you the entire time is if you do have any issues, you can always bring it up to the CEO and the CEO can rearrange it. So what usually happens for this, you might not have the same roommate the entire time you're there. The CEO might just try and mix it up a little bit. If you really like that first person you were rooming with, you can always request to specifically be roomed with that person for the rest of the tour, and they can certainly help with that. So it is still quite flexible when you are in destination. Typically, we try to do the rooming with the closest age. And if there happens to be an odd number of solo travelers, then typically the guide will rotate everybody, so everyone might have a chance of having their own room for at least one of the nights.
Great, thank you. Lifetime deposit, that's great. I mean, with so many companies that, if your deposit is non-refundable, and if you decide to change your mind, oftentimes that money is just simply lost. So I think that's a great aspect of your company as well. The idea of benefiting local communities, support, trying to keep money and allow it to stay in the community is a great idea. A lot of times the money just simply disappears into head office and is utilized in whatever way that they do it. So the idea of supporting the local community is very admirable. National Geographic, I do have a question on that specifically. Is your National Geographic specialist, is that like the local guide? In other words, does that person have an impact on every day of your travel, or just on those days that are specifically National Geographic?
Yeah, so the guide is still going to be one of our CEOs, so one of our chief experience officers. If they are doing the National Geographic journeys tours, they do have specific National Geographic training to be able to run those tours slightly differently than our classic tours. Now, for the specialists per se, those ones would really be just for the activities that are there. They don't stay with the group the entire time, but you do have that CEO that still stays with the group the entire time, and they're quite knowledgeable as well.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, so go on to Iceland. You and I when we were preparing for this, I mentioned to you about my experience with Iceland. We went in the wintertime, and it was a personal visit. I think the daylight hours were started at 11 o'clock in the morning, where the sun was down before 4 o'clock. So yeah, very, very short daylight time and very cold. We visited the Blue Lagoon, and I recall it being extremely windy. I would say 50, 60 kilometers per hour, blowing snow, and probably minus 20. And the place where you change at that time was probably 100 meters away from the actual Blue Lagoon. So you had to walk with a towel wrapped around you in a bathing suit, so most of you relatively naked, across this very, very cold and snowy area, and then slip into this pool. I can tell you that the return back to the room, I could throw my towel off and just carry it in my hand. You were super heated. But I recall, seeing the wind blowing across, and there were probably 20 or 30 people in the Blue Lagoon. And I was at one end, sort of at the back of where the wind was going. I could see everybody's heads. The top 3 inches of their heads were coated with ice. So it was quite an experience. So, and well worth the visit, certainly, if it's an added visit, as you suggest. Now, I understand, because you've mentioned it a couple of times, that you folks are responsible for the arrival at destination, everything that's going on throughout the trip, and then the return to the departure thing. You don't include the air. That's something that the travel agent is responsible for.
Exactly. So because it is people from all around the world who will join our tours, we do just land only. We don't have the international airfare included, but that also gives you the flexibility of if you want to come in a few days early, leave a few days late, even if you want to do 2 back-to-back tours, you really have that flexibility with not having the air already included.
Okay, so transfers would not be included either. That's just something that the travel agent would arrange for the clients. Is that correct?
Correct. So we can help book transfers in the majority of our destinations. So we can certainly help with that. And those are based off of your flight time. So someone will be at the airport holding a sign with either your name or the gAdventures on it, and they'll have your information and where to drop you off, of course. They're just not included in there. However, you will also have a welcome meeting on the first day of the tour. Usually it's at 6 p.m. at the Start Hotel. If it is any different, we'll have it listed on our website.
Okay, great. You know, the neat thing about Iceland, in my experience anyway, is that many people speak English quite fluently. So it's not as if you're going to a country where there's a good chance you're not going to be understood. So that it can bring a level of comfort to people as well.
Exactly.
Balkans, let's see, Dubrovnik, looking at the pictures of that, would you say that was easily walkable?
Yeah, it is a lot of
Fairly small.
cobblestones, so you have to, of course, just be able to have that balance, but very easily walkable. It's not a huge town, but there is still lots to see there.
Okay, yeah. You know, in the nighttime shots, it certainly looked as though you could easily walk around the place in a couple of hours, you know, and see most of it just by walking around. Ends of the earth, Buenos Aires, the camping. That's a very interesting aspect. Again, you and I talked about this. How fit would you say that people had to be for that? Like a lot of times when there is walking involved in, let's say, a river cruise or a land tour, they usually indicate it's gentle walking, moderate walking, or higher than that. Would you say that a person would have to be fairly fit to be able to do these hikes?
Yes and no. So for the tourist alpine, it's not really at a high altitude, but you are going to be battling with it being just a little bit colder in that area. And because it is such a long hike, again, we're looking at 8 to 10 hours for the two first days of the hike, right? So you do still have to be in a pretty good fitness level to be able to do that one. But it is definitely doable. It's not as difficult as some other hikes that we might have. But as long as the traveler is comfortable with that, then it's fine with us.
Okay, so I have a question on that too. You know, you're out in the, I'll say wilderness, perhaps that's exaggerating it a little bit, but perhaps not. What about weather conditions? If it turns out to be, you know, snow, blowing rain and all that sort of thing, is the hike still on, or do you substitute it with something different, or you just
It would
forge it?
still go rain or shine.
Yeah.
So on our website, we also have a suggested packing list. So on that suggested packing list, it'll be slightly different for all tours. It'll have kind of the main core things that you need to bring, but it'll be slightly different. So for that one specifically, if you are going during a rainy season, it will certainly say bring your raincoat or rain pants if you need to.
Okay. Well, you need to know all these things for sure.
You're signing up for an adventure.
Yeah, exactly. Well, really, that's it. You know, it's not 2 days in bed if it's raining out, so you you know, relaxing and eating and drinking. So no, the tour keeps going on, so that's good to know. Well, thanks again, Hilary, very much for your presentation this evening on gAdventures. I really appreciate not only the information, but as I said, the enthusiasm that you brought to the presentation. Thank you very much.
It's my pleasure, and thank you for having me, Danny.
Okay.